very good afternoon and a warm welcome to the Citizens Chat Show here on Civic Space TV. We are streaming on YouTube. I'm your host, Judith Atim, and it's always a pleasure to have you join us on this show. We encourage you to subscribe to our channel, to follow us, and also be a part of this conversation by dropping a comment in the comment section. Today we are discussing quite an interesting topic. Chan 2025 versus Uganda's 100-plus presidential hopefuls. We're asking the governance question. Well, today we shall analyze these shocking parallels, and the stark contrast between the two different campaigns, the sport campaign and the political campaign. We'll analyze the leadership, accountability, and the national vision on display in both arenas. And of course, we shall be asking the tough questions. What does success look like? And who is fighting for a winning future for Ugandans? Joining me to break down this conversation, I have my three wonderful panelists. From my immediate left, Dr. Robert Ojiambo, head of the History Department at Kyambongo University. A warm welcome to the show.
Thank you. Good afternoon, viewers.
Lady in red, Dr. Sarah Bireete.
Hey.
Executive Director, Center for Constitutional Governance. A warm welcome to the show.
Thank you, Judith. Good afternoon, fellow panelists and viewers.
And last but not least, Mr. Joseph Ochieno, political commentator and UPC Idelogue. He actually screamed at red when I said Sarah, when I described Sarah as the lady in red. The gentleman in a red tie. Most welcome.
Fantastic to be here. But not only that, I am at the extreme end, and I know I'm scoring for Congress and Miri. This is the corner for Comrade which is absent. He says his apologies. I've staged a coup, and I'm in charge. But for the purposes of everything being fine for the future of this country, particularly you young guys, I'm sure somebody from NR is going to join sometime.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
and we shall be letting you know who that is as soon as they walk in here. So just very quickly, I have to set the scene for our discussion. The road to 2026 is generally here with us. It's officially underway, and last Monday, the Electoral Commission began issuing nomination forms for all those who wish to contest for the presidency, and they've opened up the space. The process is scheduled to run for several weeks, and it will culminate in the official nomination of candidates. But what has captured the nation's attention is not just the process of nomination itself or the exercise, but rather the sheer number of people who are turning up to pick presidential forms. As of today, that number stands at more than 100, okay? And it is still growing, of course. Who are these aspirants? The Electoral Commission has confirmed a mix of individuals. Some are well-known political figures, others are former presidential candidates. We've seen some familiar faces, John Katumba, we've seen Elton Mabirizi, and so on. Others are representing newly gazetted political parties, although the vast majority are ordinary Ugandans. Some are farmers, some are young professionals. Others are saying they are responding to a divine mandate or a divine calling to lead this country. Very interesting if you keep watching the news. But what does it really take to be a duly nominated presidential candidate beyond just picking up the nomination forms? We'll find out shortly. So the list of aspirants is quite long, but the path to a place on the final ballot is also quite a difficult and expensive process. On the other hand, the Chan 2025 tournament is also underway and is being co-hosted by Kenya, Tanzania, and Uganda. The tournament features a record 19 teams and has been running from August 2nd till the 30th of August. Uganda, as a co-host, has had a mixed but ultimately successful start to their campaign. Uganda is playing in Group C, which is being held here in Uganda, and they currently sit at the top of the group standings after 3 matches. At the start, Uganda had a disappointing opening. They lost to Algeria, but Uganda later bounced back with 2 strong wins, and they secured their first ever back-to-back victories in the Chan tournament. These 2 wins, particularly the 3-0 victory against Guinea, have been crucial in getting Uganda to the top of the group. The other was a 2-0 victory over Niger. And they have 6 points from 3 games and a positive goal difference. So Uganda's chances of reaching the quarterfinals are looking pretty good. And it is exciting for a lot of Ugandans. The final group stage match is against South Africa, which is slated for Monday, the 18th of August at 20 at 8 p.m. So this sets the stage for our discussion. On one hand, we have a national football team with a clear mission, a defined leadership, and a sense of shared purpose. On the other hand, we have a political landscape with a chaotic and crowded field of aspirants. One of these campaigns has brought the nation together. The other is polarizing it. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is the tale of two Ugandan campaigns, and we're here to discuss what they both mean for our nation's future. Very quickly, we'll start with a political campaign. And I first of all want your very quick reactions on the sheer number and caliber of people turning up to declare their interest as presidential aspirants. Dr. Ojiambo.
I would have preferred.
Would you also go and pick a nomination?
Yeah.
Why don't you? In fact,
I would have preferred
to
to begin with the Chan, but you know, in studio there
Okay,
is no
okay.
democracy. There is no democracy here. So I will go by. I'll go by your.
No, we can still turn it around
No,
and pick.
I don't want to be disobedient.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
But Chan is an area
Robert,
where I'm very, very
This
interested.
is the most democratic channel in
Thank
town.
you.
Oh.
Thank
But
you.
I get your point in terms of hosting it.
In the studio, I was told that
the
there's
rules
no
are the
match.
rules.
Fair
match.
enough.
Okay. Fair enough. You can carry
Yeah,
on.
the presidential election is interesting. Just picking from what we have been discussing here, we see that for a starter, he may look at things or she may look at things and get excited. Because if a witch was here, would say that shows a sign of democracy. Very many people are coming out to pick forms because there is room for competition, and therefore anybody can compete for the office of the presidency, just like they're competing for the other offices. But when you look at it very carefully, you discover that dictatorships have a very big problem. And for people who studied dictatorships, one of it is that it kills leadership in a country. And therefore, leadership ends up to just be a joking matter. The only thing that matters in a country is the dictator and his clients, because dictators don't have followers, they have clients who are just being used for a purpose and they then go away. So the first thing that dictators do, they make sure that all meaningful people who can offer leadership either are eliminated from politics or they're eliminated totally in life. If you had 180 people picking forms and they are of substance to offer leadership to this country, it would have been a very wonderful thing. But Judith, I will bet, those names have been read, I've been here reading on paper, then I listen on TV. A moment a name is read and a few minutes pass, you forget about it. You forget about it other than Katumba Oye or Mabirizi because of his difficulty in speaking another language. The rest of those guys, you can't remember them. So you are going to have later a contest which will be of two people. And this one I predict is going to be a contest of two people. The NRM candidate, who is a perennial candidate, and the one who will show people that he is for the opposition. As for now, I don't want to speculate. I don't know who that will be, but probably the NUP candidate. Whoever NUP will bring will be the opposition candidate. And you are going to see the struggle divided into two. The sitting government led by NRM and those who are trying to oppose the other. These others, FDC, I don't know which one I saw now. FDC is planning to work with the DP. And I think that's how Mao wants to escape from this thing. So he said, I saw yesterday that the FDC has now, they want to work with the DP, and I saw Siranda there. I saw also the Secretary General of UPC also in that thing when FDC was presenting their manifesto. And you look at FDC, it's like a small boy of 3 years saying that he's going to represent the country in Olympics. He will go there if they allow him, but he cannot start. They just can't start. Then you see independents. Majority of these people are independents. And when you look at them, some of them have never even been LOC1 committee member. They have never been head boys and head girls in their former schools. They're just coming maybe to cause excitement. You don't even, you are not sure whether they are not being stage managed to give a semblance of competition and so many things, knowing very well that they will not meet the threshold of being nominated, because there is a difference between picking forms and being nominated. I saw the Electoral Commission outline the things that are required for you to be nominated. There are just so many of them, but the most difficult is you must get 100 supporters, 100 supporters endorsing you from 99 districts from Uganda, and it should be representative of the country. And this should be registered voters and who are not supporting other candidates. In other words, they should be supporting you only. For the NRM, they are going to use RDCs. RDCs, they will just pick the form. The president will only go to pick the form for symbolism, to create some symbolism. Then they will be handed over to RDCs, and RDCs will be running around to look for these signatures. Of course, there are a few parties that have a network, like maybe NUP also has a network. It can use its secretariat to run around. The rest of these people do not have any infrastructure of managing an election. Many of them do not have even an office. Their office, you saw Katumba Oye, when they were nominating from Kyambongo University, running from town on foot to go for nomination to lead the country. And the people want also to associate with that kind of person. So me, I see this as an indictment to democracy in Uganda. Because if one of those people who were picking forms was Ruhakana Rugunda, is picking forms to stand for the presidency of Uganda, you would say, wait a minute, there is a point here. If you saw that one of these people who are struggling to pick forms is Anita Among, because she has been now speaker for 1 year and she thinks she has gotten experience to now lead the country, you would say, wait a minute, there is something here. If you found that, for example, a certain leader of a political party who has been there, like Mugisha Muntu, is trying to pick forms, you may doubt his chances of going through, but you are sure that this has some credentials of leading this country. But majority of these people, even if I normally make my students laugh, that if a miracle happened, and they just said, no, don't struggle. A rule has been said, you are now the president of the Republic of Uganda. The man will collapse and die because he does not know, or she does not know, what it takes to be a president of the Republic of Uganda. I've been arguing as I end. Even MP, this business of somebody coming from the university, he has not even run the smallest institutions in the country, which is a family, and he rushes to the Electoral Commission and picks forms and becomes an MP. You have seen that even those who have gone through, you have seen their performance has been very minimal. In any society, people need to build capacity. People need to build networks. People need to build credibility. People need to get friends. And above all, get a financial muscle. Because bidding for presidency, even if you are not bribing people, you need a lot of money to run programs, to move around. The support that is given to them by the Electoral Commission, in my view, is not anywhere, cannot support you in anything. This is going to be a very short time, by the way. Some people were happy that the Electoral Commission had cut down the period of doing this thing. But to me, if a serious process is bad, like for example, from today to nomination is less than now, is 29 days. And you need 99 signatures from different parts of the country. Many of those 100 and so people will not make it. If they make it, they are going to bring signatures with a lot of mistakes, and they are going to be disqualified. So you will see there will be a few people who will finally go to the ballot paper. But I think what we need to push is that the government sitting in power should just open up processes and allow people to organize before election so that people can organize in political parties. If I want to be an independent, I should be allowed in my few years before I come to organize meetings, to create networks, because you cannot win an election as an independent. You need networks. Okay. But going like this, in my view, it is a joke, and it is not going to produce credible candidates.
Thank you. Sarah, let me come to you. So when you see this kind of political circus we're witnessing, for want of a better word, would you think, or would you say this is a pointer to some kind of weakness in either in our constitution or institutions, or do you think this is just a sign of unseriousness on the part of Ugandans?
No, in my view, it's a protest vote. It's a protest move of young people against the bad leadership of President Museveni. Everybody feels they can do better than him. So, and I think he better pays attention. We have so many university students. You saw the man, actually what struck my attention most was that man who came in the ordinary sandals, open shoes. Yes. It's a protest move by citizens to show the president that he no longer makes any sense in that office. I know that the NRM people think it's democracy, it's a demonstration, that there is democracy. No, not at all. Ugandans are not happy. They know, majority of those people, because beyond 100, maybe 10 will return the forms. They know they will not return the forms. Maybe they were not even planning to contest. But each one of those people that has picked forms has an issue they are protesting. And that issue is in their speeches. It's unemployment, it's corruption, it's poor education, it's poor health care, it's impunity. They've all voiced out their protest. So it's picking forms for presidency has become a platform for protest. Even against the constraints, the separation of freedoms, because there is no other way to protest. So if there is anybody there with an issue to protest, the platform is open. All the cameras are on you. Yes. You go and pick forms and you make your address, make an address to the nation. So majority of them are protesting. When you look at the ground, the unleveled ground, many people, and I know this happens whenever we travel, but don't you have people? How can you, 40 years, one person? And there are people in Uganda. So some of the people you go and speak in a meeting and they say, but why are you stuck in your country? Can't you read? Then you tell them, you don't know what we are going through. The challenges you face once you offer yourself. Some of those young people are protesting that. In the last elections, we did a pictorial coverage of elections because the English say a picture is worth 1,000 words. So, and we shall repeat it. From nomination day to announcement of results, what are the pictures on the campaign trail? When you open that thing, you need to first be psychologically prepared Otherwise, you will be admitted for trauma. In a meeting I was in this morning, we were told that in Talca now, they have a UPDF word for trauma. So when you see these people beating citizens on the street, some of them you don't know what is chasing them. So, yeah, but during elections, how many citizens are going to be traumatized? The violence, the impunity, the unreasonableness, and President Museveni and his government have characterized the national security to mean dissent. I'm sure some of these radical cadres, even they would wish that these shows like this one are closed. Because they'd be like, why are they talking? Why do they have, you know, how can they sit every day and point out what is going wrong in this country? Some of them have reached that sense of entitlement. Like, who are you to question? So these young people are protesting, and for me it's a very good thing. So they will catch a few headlines, including international media. By the time we finish the 2 weeks, we might be at about 300. Imagine a country led by an aged president, because President Museveni, 80 plus, is now 82 officially. It's some people who know him will say it will be 84. So an aged president and a young, because we are the second youngest country in the world, and the young people, 300 of them have picked forms to run against him. And I don't know what he feels. I hope he feels a bit of embarrassment in his privacy as he watches these things.
Okay, thank you. So, Joseph, your thoughts. Sarah says this is a protest vote against the establishment. But someone would think that these young people would ordinarily find space with perhaps our opposition parties, okay? But here they are, none of them that is going through these parties. They are all coming as independents. Is this also a protest? Is it also a message that perhaps our opposition parties no longer have messages or manifestos that resonate with the young people, and perhaps this is what we are seeing now?
I think there's an element of your question which is extremely sharp as ever. Pulling from where Sarah was, from a perspective of broad a protest and an indictment on Mr. Museveni and his NRA and the 40 years, to a fair observation that could it also be an indictment on the opposition. But Sarah and Robert have suggested to you that if you see the state of the broader political space, these people are quite clearly saying that, look, they don't see any option. Now, do the opposition have the options? By and large, no. I think my two colleagues already told you that. So, from that perspective, it just takes us back to the fact that I think this regime is extremely lucky that the majority of young people have opted not to go to the bush. That many of them have opted not to throw grenades in the streets of Kampala, but to demonstrate to the best of their ability that they can also try what Mr. Museveni is doing. I think the primary thing is the fact that if you take us back to the NRA primaries, and if you take us back to the conversation we had here, I think 2 or 3 weeks ago, about why many people are rushing into politics as a trade, it's a confirmation that if Museveni can do it, why not me? But most importantly, if one family can be so arrogantly entitled to do this thing for 40 years, and a family that came from nowhere, these guys came from nowhere, my friend. These guys came from nowhere. So if a family that came from nowhere can do that, and for me, I'm a bona fide engineer in town with a decent track record. I may not necessarily have been a head prefect in a particular school, but you know, administratively, I think I've got the skills that can manage. Maybe let me do it. But at the end of the day, of course, like Sarah says, we quite clearly know that these people know that they're unlikely to do that, to take it very far. I'm just generally concerned away from you. That was your question about the threshold. I think in a democracy, I would not seek those listings. And in a general democracy, there is no reason why you should put those as requirements. Maybe in a way, it is just like how some guys in our UPC circles, the most Republican, the most progressive, open political party, then you put a nomination fee of 20 million Uganda shillings for somebody basically to stand as a party presidential candidate. And, you know, I just don't understand it. So, no, if we were open, free, men and women of repute and of integrity would come and emerge through mainstream political parties. At the moment, Robert told you, we don't know which of which is really a serious political party that we can consider here as an opposition. Even in the main opposition, Robert has actually put for you a disclaimer. Where I slightly differ is that, interestingly, my own political party is amongst the most viable political parties, although at the moment it's headless. But said as a matter of interest, I was actually thinking about these numbers. That come to think of it, if you look at 100 districts and look at those 100 people, maybe, not breaking news, maybe you'd reach certain parts of this country where there would be a struggle for some of these political parties, including possibly mine, to get it from there. But generally from the experience, in 2005, I was at that command center for UPC for picking up, for clarification of those words. Robert is right, it can be extremely terrible. We had districts where we had to send information to EC and come back, except that you just operate a decent command center with people waiting for the other end, and you pick up a list. If there's 100, maybe you pick 500, and then you keep on sending, It's a very torturous thing. Why we should subject political parties and organizations at that particular time when parties are focused on mobilizing and organizing and the resources involved, I think it's completely unfair. It's almost as if you want to tell people that, well, you either know how to go to the bush and do these things, or you can't do politics. I've been around countries around the world, and Sarah has been, and I think, yeah, we've been around some of the spaces. No, you do not make this process such a difficult thing as if it's an attempted journey to heaven. For political parties, I think it's generally very unfair on political parties and a huge amount of waste of resources for political parties. But I again get concerned. 2021 elections, Sarah and I were on a particular program of a global television program, and I told this program I was joining from a distance, and I generally got very, very worried by what happened. This is the security thing, including some of the phone calls we got, including from our friends abroad. When I look at where we are today, and I see where the democratic opposition is, and I see that this is coming to end of August, I don't know what has really changed fundamentally between 2021 and today, that I don't get worried that if I consider Kawempe, we're not going to get into equally the same kind of situation. That sort of worries me more than this numbers game, and I only wish we're not discussing this, but rather how prepared we are nationally, general, as a nation, are going towards that. And that political parties, major political parties in this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 main political parties, including NRA, that are having a conversation as far as our readiness is concerned, and as far as the tick box is concerned. This we got wrong, this the electoral commission got wrong, this the nation got wrong, this will be improved, and then the areas where we need to be looking at. It's a conversation I would like to be seeing us going through. I'm not sure that I'm seeing enough of it.
But I think before I also come back here, what we are seeing now, would you say this is a unique phenomenon in Uganda's political history? Or is this a natural evolution of our multi-party democracy?
I think you're right about that. That for me, who saw the 1980 general elections with 4 established political parties and only 2 major political parties, DP and UPC, and NRM as UPM at the time, although with a reasonable number of candidates half now and there, it was basically periphery. So you know that 3 political parties. CP was basically quite confined and very silent in Uganda. But fast forward to what we've seen today, it's actually comedy.
Interesting. So again, is this a unique, still the question of the phenomenon, and what explains this phenomenon that we are seeing now? I know Sarah has talked about, the growing discontent that young people have with the establishment failing to deliver on issues that are pertinent to them. But what would you say about this phenomenon that we are seeing? Growing numbers, because what we are seeing now, we didn't see it in 2021, 2020, 2021, we didn't see it in 2016, 2015. So what explains this? And it can't be, yes, the discontent has always been there. Even the last time there was discontent. So what explains this?
I have always said that there is vulgarization of leadership in Uganda. And I normally give these statistics for a purpose. We have a country which pays 300 and about 70,000 public servants to provide services in the country. We have not yet reached 400,000. No. I don't know, there have been new recruitments, so there might have been some improvements, but I don't think we have sought 400,000. But look at the people who are supervising them, the politicians. We have over 2 million political positions in Uganda. 2 million. Councillor, I don't know what, see this, mayor, then it is. These days you don't know what is the difference between a mayor and a district, and the chairman, LC3. You don't know what is the difference. So you have vulgarized politics and leadership to this level. So much so that any Tom Dick feels that can be a leader in a country. In fact, we are going to find a situation where you have more leaders than the people who are being led very, very soon with this multiplication of districts and so on. Number two, everybody now thinks that after failing to get a job, but it surprises me, it is not only people failing to get a job. In my university alone, there are 2 professors who resigned. A professor from Palabek resigned to go and fight with the Hilaronek, and another one from Karamoja, and another one. And I was wondering, what is motivating these people? Somebody has just become a professor, and he wants to go to the village to start struggling for things which are not even clear. So there is also that feeling that if I'm to be the person, I have to be in parliament. Now there is this presidency thing now has just created a problem. My friend, when I was growing up, the title president was very big. Even as children, we knew what it meant to be a president. In fact, at home, if you were called president, you would really feel very great. Because you see, I said this because I had a similar head shape with one of the presidents then. My head has that similar shape. So sometimes once in a while...
Which one was that?
Then you don't know our presidents. No, the wide...
with the afro.
Yes,
no,
ma'am.
if you look at my, my head.
Okay.
So there is once in a while refer to me as president. And you would and you would feel so good. Now, when you see the characters going on TV that they want to be president, many of them cannot even define who a president is. I like 8 of them. If you put them somewhere with a cane and you say, define for me who a president of a country is and what does he do, you are going to kill them, caning them. So me, I feel this is unique, I agree, but it creates a huge problem for a country, because one, the office of the presidency, just like the office of the member of parliament, just like the office of, you have seen this office now, anybody who succeeds in singing or doing what, feels that after singing, I should become MP, I should become president. And that's why I've been arguing that I think there is a problem. There is a big problem in this country, is calling it a protest. I agree to some extent, but I think there is a whole societal or community or public problem. People don't understand what they want to go and do there. And people don't understand the job of a president. People don't understand the job of, listen to them, even the ones who want MP. You ask them, and they will not give you the 5 duties of an MP. They are telling you how they are going to dig roads. They are going to, I don't know, help in digging graves. They are going to help treating people as if they want to become doctors. They forget the real major roles of an MP. But it is because society has bastardized this office to become a service providing thing, because the government cannot build hospitals. MPs now, every ambulance, in fact a friend of mine asked me from Tanzania that here when government buys ambulance, they put their pictures of, of citizens. I said, no, those are personally owned ambulances. And he said, how can it happen? Ambulance is supposed to be for the state or companies.
Yes.
So for me, I think very soon you will see people marching to State House. And if they are not careful, UPDF and all these things will not be able to protect them from entering there, because there will be many, but each one feeling that let me also go and eat. Because now leadership is for eating. People are looking at how can I get. Some people are going for these things thinking that when he threatens or she threatens, they are going to receive a call that can you come and we appoint you RDC? Can you come and we give you this small thing? Some are thinking that maybe some group of people will get them and give them some little support and they get some money. Some feel that they will be bought out, that they will be given some...
But even if that were to happen, you must be a person of a certain caliber.
No, when you see, when you, for some of you who used to eat mangoes, these village mangoes on a tree, you don't need to be of caliber to climb on a mango. What you fear is that will the owner find me? So I think presidency, MOP is like now a village mango.
Thank you, Dr. Ojiambo. I think, let me take this opportunity to acknowledge the arrival of our other panelists, Honorable Henry Banyenzaki. We're going to take a break and then just allow him to come join us and we continue with the discussion.
Digital rights are those human rights and legal rights that allow individuals to access, use, create and publish digital media, or to access and use computers, other electronic devices and telecommunication networks. Digital rights include a right to freedom of expression, information and communication through technology, a right to privacy and data protection, a right to credit for personal works, a right to universal and equal digital access, a right to identity, a right to anonymity, a right to be forgotten, and a right for protection of minors, among others. The state's digital rights are frequently violated through various unfair actions, for example, blockage of websites and social networks, theft of credentials, unauthorized use of people's data for personal gain, privacy intrusion, online censorship, arrests and intimidation of online users, internet blockages, and the proliferation of laws and regulations that undermine the potential of technology to drive social, economic, and political development worldwide. It is hence every citizen's responsibility to respect rights of other digital users and to speak out or report to the responsible parties when one's rights are violated.
Welcome back from the break and thank you for keeping it with us here on the Citizens Chat Show. We're continuing with our discussion on Chan 2025 versus Uganda's 100-plus presidential hopefuls, the governance question. And let me now take this opportunity to formally welcome our other guest or panelist, Honorable Henry Banyenzaki, Director of Monitoring and Evaluation at the Operation Wealth Creation. He's also former State Minister for Economic Monitoring in the Office of the President and currently aspiring MP for Kabanda. Rubanda. Yes. Rubanda, West County in Kabale District. You're welcome to the show, Honorable.
Greater Kabale. How are you, viewers? I'm delighted to be here. Thank you, Judith.
Thank you. So you'll join the conversation a little later. We'll let you know the flow. So we've, of course, been sharing views from these people on this sheer number of people who are turning up to pick presidential nomination forms. But Sarah, I wanted you to come in on the issue of what this phenomenon is. We've never seen this happen. This is unprecedented. And what what exactly does this communicate? How do we make sense of what is happening?
You see, when you check the list of longest serving leaders worldwide, non-royal serving leaders, President Museveni is on number 5 globally. The first one is Ngwema, who was made 43 years in power. That's Equatorial Guinea. The second one, Paul Biya, Cameroon, 51 years. He's also seeking re-election. No, but
41.
41.
Voting in October
41, yeah. Then you have Ali Khamenei, Iran, the supreme leader of Iran. Around there, same period. Denis Sassou Nguesso, 40 years in power. You have President Museveni, 40 years. These ones are separated by months. Then you have Ramon, who is serving his, this is Tajikistan, who is 33 years, and then we come back to Africa, Afirich and others. So in Africa, President Museveni is the 4th longest serving leader. In Uganda, the second longest serving leader is Idi Amin, 80 years. So you have an experience of 8 and 40 years. Many of these people picking forms were born after Museveni had captured power. I think like 80%.
Possibly 90 actually.
Or 90%. People have picked forms so far. We are all born when President Museveni was a president. So you can imagine a lifetime, all your life, you know one president. Many of us adults, away from the people picking forms, we have not experienced any leadership because we are children. Also, the leadership we have experienced is President Museveni. But we are here now, we are looking forward to grandchildren. So,
We have not yet graduated.
So really, it has been such a long time, but it's a big, big protest for President Museveni because they are staying in power. But when there is something working for the citizens, and staying in power, where you just have a clique around you, and the nation just works for them, and the rest of the citizens are on their own. And this is the situation in Uganda. It started as a method of keeping power. And the other day, in another informal setup, we were debating, after that clip of President Museveni saying, now corruption is officially in my bedroom, and all the systems are dead. I don't know whether he was proud in making such a statement. I don't know whether he was full of pain. If I were the one, I would be crying. For me, that realization should have been followed with an announcement for handover and a transition. Say maybe I'm not going to seek re-election. Because if all the systems have collapsed under your leadership, basically you've done nothing. And I know there are some things where President Museveni has achieved. But in terms of systems and institutions, he gave his own verdict that he has contributed zero and collapsed even the systems he found in place. So if I were him, I would have announced my process of handing over. Say maybe in 1 year or as you go for elections, I have withdrawn my bid because if I have watched the collapse of all systems, now what is there for him to do in the next 5 years that he is seeking? He should have announced and said the NRM is going to front another candidate. This is my scorecard. I am my self-examiner. Let me go home. Because then there's nothing else he can do. So this is what the young people are protesting. There's nothing you can do. You also know that you have failed. There's nothing to offer them. And we have 73% young people who see no leadership from you. And that's why those young people are rushing to pick forms.
You know, Judith, Robert and Sarah said something earlier before my fantastic neighbor here arrived, and that is the manner in which politics is now almost like, not almost, a way of living and the most marketable trade in town. And although this is around the president and the most marketable trade in town, and although this is around the presidents away from the parliamentary staff, last night I got a note from one of my mentees. I saw it this morning and haven't responded. And this is somebody whom I've been engaged in the last 4 or 5 years and have gone into work into the professions and doing very well. But this young man sent me a note that I didn't open. And I think it's apparently a list of the emoluments for members of parliament. And he was saying that this is extremely attractive. And one of the last comments said that it's making him impatient. He wants to go and stand for that parliamentary seat. You know, I didn't respond. Part of course it involves, it means an engagement more, but partly it confirms this. The young man says this is extremely, attractive and is making him impatient, meaning he feels impatient to leave the trade, the profession, decent young man, professional, but to come and stand for member of parliament because of the list of emoluments. Yeah. Now, if that is it as it is for him, and this is somebody who's been around me, so he must understand this generally very decent young person, then go on to Mr. Museveni's, away from what Sarah said, that now corruption is absolutely under this man's bed and it's official and is absolutely content with it, and this is the glory that he wants to hand over to his grandchildren. What, on the other hand, is it? We know from the letters that Mr. Museveni refers on to some of those things for which people get 30 million Uganda shillings. The presidency is now an art of living in everybody's home. The president will resolve your domestic dispute. The president will resolve the other issue of malaria, catching your daughter. The presidency will resolve the issue of school fees. The presidency will resolve the border strike.
But the borders have their candidate.
Oh, yes, they do.
Yeah.
So if it means the presidency is the answer to everything else, and he is now the national mentor, that is where you look. What about my young mentee? Meaning, the majority of young people know the answer to livelihood in the Republic of Uganda is the presidency. So I could as well try. Think about it.
Interesting. So, Honorable, when I know the NRM party always has this line of argument and thinking that when you have more people showing up for elective positions, or showing interest, that's a sign that our democracy is so healthy and progressive. But your colleagues here have had this thinking that, look, these young people, the majority who've picked forms for the presidency, are actually sending a message. It is a protest against the status quo. They are not happy, they're discontented with what's happening. What is your interpretation of the message that we are getting from them?
I think I agree to, and I subscribe to the notion that this is a protest vote. And a protest vote by the young people, the youth. Because if you see the people who are picking these forms are the youth. And so the youth are communicating, and they are telling us, you, the elite, the informed, the exposed, you have let us down. So if you cannot go for it, let's go for it. And they are communicating. So this kind of communication that they are doing, if I was in charge of the state, I would take this matter very, very seriously. Because if you are going to have these 100 people, maybe one can also interpret it because there have been some kind of suppression of freedom of speech at that level. So if somebody wakes up and is very brave and very bright and innovative, sponsor 200 people to have those presidential platform. 200 million times 20 million times 200, that's 4 billion. You have somebody who can give that 4 billion to have the 400 have a platform in this whole country to air out what they have not, what they could not air out
Because there was no space for them
because
to
there
do
was
so.
no space. So these guys could, first of all, these young people could be coming for that space. Secondly, protest that you, the elite, you have let us down. We are coming for it. And it is a wake-up call. It should be a wake-up call to the senior citizens and those who matter, and should even be a wake-up call to the president, who Sarah says she's the fifth longest serving leader in the world, fourth in Africa anyway. So it's also a wake-up call. And this kind of protest can burst into the whole nation. And if it bursts into the whole nation, you are likely to have what was experienced in Sudan. I think it's Sudan, where the president got 95%, and within 3 years was being toppled by the protests.
The younger people.
So by the very young people. So
Well,
this
what's
one
happening
is
in
an
Kenya?
indicator that the Gen Z are annoyed, and we should take it seriously. It's not Katemba, not at all. Same things happening, same story happening in Parliament. When I came in, my good friend doctor was saying, even those who are singing, after making a successful career in singing, you jump in Parliament. For me, those guys are geniuses. You compose a song, can you? You cannot. You are a historian.
Challenge.
You're a historian, you can tell the Ngoni story. Somebody can come and tell a Ngoni story if he reads it. But can you sing? No. They are geniuses. They are innovators. They are composers. And they communicate. So,
Actually, to write a song, sorry, to interject and in support of your statement, to write a song, you need first to write a book in your head and then summarize it.
absolutely. Let's take example of like a man like Chagurani, young man. He came from that singing sector, from that sector which was underrated, to being the leader of the position in this country. That's not mean. That is not mean. He's doing what we have all failed to do. The nearest I came to that was when I was reading a rebel movement.
The rebels
Within the parliament. And we were about all 7 there. We are not a critical movement.
Why didn't you recruit me?
You were not
You
there.
are not an MP.
So, he is a genius that he has put this country together to believe in him. Who does that if you're not a genius? Okay, he's helped by a few guys, the Rubongoyas, etc. But you see,
He's the full
he
crowd
has
that
learned
holds.
the support. Now there's a protest vote. Buganda is gone. We don't. Busog is also actually a twin to Buganda
On the verge.
in the protest vote. So we shouldn't take these young men and women picking these votes, these nomination forms for granted. And the state should have an interest to understand why and then advise accordingly. In accordingly, I'm not saying that they should be stifled. They should be listened to. They should be listened to. There is one young man who was speaking, I don't know which language, when Ken Ruchamus was in parliament, who said called
Ludicha.
The guy is very brilliant. I listened to him. When he puts his Rudicha in real English, oh my God, his point are to the spot. So for me, that is my take. I don't want to say much about that, but it is communicating that the governance of the access to these top offices has been stifled, and with the youth, we are coming to unlock it.
Interesting. Joseph, I want to come back to you still on the indictment on the opposition, just like thinking there's an indictment on the establishment. these young people have their issues, which the very opposition collectively speaks about. Don't you think this would be an opportunity to actually reach out to these young people and win them on the side of the opposition? And if so, how then would the opposition position itself as the most viable alternative that encapsulates the ideals and shares the pains of these young people?
No, I think really, just as Henry said, that everybody should watch these guys seriously and carefully, and that the state should take it very seriously. And in fact, as a matter of interest, away from actually the presidency, in normal democracies, the head of state would possibly be coming out, because these are at this level of conversation to say that, look, this is a new phenomenon. And I really hope this debate takes shape beyond where we are.
But
and say, what is this is going on?
You know,
Yes, they are all candidates. They are all presidential candidates.
They are all in the race.
Yes.
Robert, we're in trouble because that is even now me. So maybe you guys in academia, maybe one of these days you have a conversation, a panel conversation to have. But on a serious note, what is going on in terms of trends? Maybe psychologists, maybe sociologists, but maybe political scientists and public, public policy analysts to have this genuine debate what's going on. But primarily it's an indictment, as you rightly say, on the democratic opposition. What is it? It is telling us, and I've told your programs again and again and again, that the biggest problem we face is absence of leadership. Away from NRA, we have more political parties and organizations and less leaders. And leaders here are not about only individuals, but leaders here is about issues that these organizations and individuals represent. And at the center, which political party today speaks the language of these young people? UPC, as you know, traditionally would be, that's what we call, the party of the youth, the party for women, the party for the peasants, and the party for workers, or what we call the workers. Those four.
Yes,
you could see
the
from
workers.
Who are the workers?
Workers.
In normal sense. So you see broadly, then you pick from those ones, and then you refine in terms of this. But today where? So then if you go in, we would be talking youth unemployment. But where is it? I told you that now. People are looking for where to go. A young professional, one of the few lucky guys who got into the profession the other day, now is saying, being a member of parliament is the most lucrative thing in town. I should better go for it. So quite clearly, there is no opposition with respect that comes with a bold leadership out there that says, this is we. We will deal with unemployment. We'll radically change education. We'll broadly work on health. We'll broadly work on infrastructure. Young people about environment today, particularly when you look at the social media world, that Kampala is the most polluted capital city in the world, which opposition leader, and you now talk about opposition, said that, no, look, you guys, this has got to change. Not only is it about terrible roads, but really about the environment in terms of the air we breathe and things like that. It's not there. So in as long as these messages and languages are not there, and in as long as some of the conversations I was having, including for me yesterday, in meeting a young lady whose problem is not only a question of unemployment, but I must say on television, question of sexual abuse at work. These are big things for young people, and they're suffering with them like that, and they don't know where to go. So if then that is the case, what do? They're as much on their own as sometimes even those of us in this panel who are slightly better off sometimes, we also mourn and cry that we're on our own. So that is how bad it is.
All right. You want to come in before
Yes.
Chan?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, but I like the issue of who can now pick out on this and address the problem. When the man with the local, those shoes, open shoes, entered Electoral Commission, he addressed media and said he didn't like the way he was treated. Electoral Commission is being segregative because as Alhaji Moses Chigongo and the Honorable Todong were going, they were allowed, given like VIP treatment. Even Munyagwa talked about it. It's the selective treatment. Given VIP treatment, they packed inside. Whenever everybody else is told to leave their cars outside, So that is also, so they are checking the process. Because if you look at now, one of the problems, like Electoral Commission has refused to accredit observers. I did not see any observers observing the exercise of picking forms.
That's interesting.
Yes.
Yes.
They have refused to accredit many of us in civil society to even conduct mere civic education. So the young people coming in are checking the system, some of them. You have refused to bring here observers. So they are there observing. Otherwise, how would we have known that NRM is given preferential treatment?
Yes.
So that confirms that indeed the Electoral Commission is partisan or is not neutral in the way they are treating people. We wouldn't have known this undocumented. And for us, we are going to document. So these young people are helping us observe the process.
They're exposing this.
Yes. Some of them.
They are achieving the intention.
Yes.
Okay, let's go and expose
And I wish about 10 of these young people could get the money and indeed run. Then they will help us who have been locked out by Electoral Commission. They will help us check the system beyond the political parties.
Interesting. So I want us to now move to the Cranes campaign. But of course, when we're talking about the Chan or the Cranes, we're not looking at football in simple terms. We're looking at it from the lens of governance as well. We are scrutinizing the leadership, the accountability, and national unity, and trying to see what lessons do we learn from that side that could actually help shape and improve our political spaces. So Dr. Ojiambo, I know this is where you wanted to start with, and now we're there. But when you look at the unity and the national pride that is currently on display at Chan, again, because of how the Cranes are performing, what message, again, do you get when it comes to leadership, the kind of leadership that, truly would unite this country?
Yeah, there's a friend of mine who works on Super Sport TV, normally calls football the beautiful game. This beautiful game gives you some breath out of this stress of these political things that you discuss here. So much that when you're in that football field, you don't think about anything. Even when they call your name, sometimes you're forgotten, especially when your team is playing well. And the best thing that has happened to Uganda is when we managed to get this project of Pamoja, where we put in a bid to CAF to host the African Cup of Nations, AFCON. But that also gave us a window that before AFCON, which is coming in 2027, we can use this as a precursor to test on our systems, to test on everything, and see if we can host African Cup of Nations in 2027. So no country in East Africa was able to host alone. We don't have facilities to host alone and host it the way CAF would want it, because they want that when you host, for example, in Uganda, you don't have the matches in the same locality. They must be spread in the whole country. And in Uganda, once you get out of Kampala, you go to another thing. So a person came up with an idea that we can host this as East Africa. And East Africa, I like also the one who came up with this idea. Rwanda last year held the Chan, and they were the last holders of Chan. And they did it alone. How they managed, we don't know. So this time also, when the person was mobilizing people, mobilized Tanzania, mobilized Kenya, and I think it was Uganda. And here we need to give ourselves kudos. We managed to convince those people that we can hold the thing. And we were given to hold the first AFCON, African Cup of Nations. But later, there was a struggle on who was supposed to host the Chan. At first, they thought Cameroon would do. Cameroon was not able. So when they were moving around, again the Pamoja project asked that, can you give us this opportunity so that we use it to test our systems? For starters, Chan is the African Confederation of African Championship. Mainly it is a tournament which is played by players who play in the domestic league only. Then the other one is for both, who are professionals. So these are our boys who play in our clubs, KCC, Bunamwaya, Vipers, and Waterview. And I'm telling you, it's a great thing for our country, Uganda. This is one of the best things that Uganda has ever produced. Because even when you look at how we have organized ourselves, Kenya already has problems. As I speak now, the fans have broken into the pitch twice, and they are almost threatening that if they continue like that, they are going to allow Kenya to play in Uganda or in Tanzania. Like today, they are going to play, but they will play with half stadia full. They have given them only 27,000 fans instead of some 60 something. So that shows that we are doing well. For starters, sports and football, why I called it the beautiful game. It has no religion, it has no ethnicity, it has nothing, no political party. When you are there, the one who scores the goal, whether it's Okello, whether it's Himbisibwe, and those two have already scored for us. Okello has scored, Himbisibwe has scored, Serunjoji has scored. So everybody celebrates, and you need to be in that pitch. It brings us out of these evil things of political parties, regions where people are looking at somebody and they are saying that one should not stand in Kampala. For football, if you are very good at the ball, you are a good person for this country. I remember Agraori, when he wanted to vie for presidency, somebody brought undertones of tribalism and said, but Agraori, you're a Kenyan. Your brother is the vice president of Kenya. Why don't you go and stand in Kenya? And he told them, when I went for Commonwealth and won a medal for Uganda, why didn't you chase it away? So sports is very good. But as you have stated, I want to say that there are lessons. Number one, we have learned that football is a uniting factor. And football should not only be treated as entertainment. It's one of the growing professions. It's the one of the growing employment. For example, those boys right now, if the president stands to his word, they are richer by 100 million each. Because he promised every win, he would give 1.2 billion shillings. They have won 2, those are 2.4 billion shillings. So most of us are watching to see whether they are going to give them that money. And if they give them, they will be very rich. The second thing is that some boys have now grown from local individuals to international individuals. Somebody should look at this young boy called Mpande, has just come from school. He plays for Villa, but he came from Masaza last year. And now he's an international boy in this country. He's known in German, he's known everywhere, because this football is live all over the world. But the problem with 1.2 billion at the time of the tournament shows you also one weakness. We have not prepared these boys to go there. For those who watched the match between Uganda and Algeria, some of us who know some football were embarrassed. They took us to school, and it's because of preparation. But as I end, there is also one issue which I may need you to know, that the governance issues in Uganda are affecting the cranes as well. For example, now as we speak, there is a huge debate on where those boys are sleeping. They are sleeping in some Ramchakold hotel, which is allegedly owned by one of the key figures in parliament, the boss of parliament. And yet, it is CAF which is paying for these boys to be. Other players are sleeping in Sheraton, they are sleeping in this very good hotel, this other one. The one which used to be conference center. Serena. Our boys are in Chisasi, in some suburb, with the muddy roads, traumatized because of governance issues. As you know, the boss of football in Uganda is Magogo, and Magogo is husband of the speaker. This is not rumors, and that's why I'm confident to speak about it on TV. Because as I came, the spokesperson of the Minister of Education was being put to task, Dr. Mujimba, was being put to task to explain that scenario. And his explanation is neither here nor there. That there is a governance issue. So this family thing has now moved from the politics. It has now gone to the beautiful game and the beautiful thing that we want. And that affects us so much.
Thank you, Dr.
Those
Ojiambo.
boys should be treated like any other player.
We need to take a break very quickly, and then when we return, I'll give the mic to you, Dr. Sarah Bireete. Just stay with us.
Digital rights are those human rights and legal rights that allow individuals to access, use, create, and publish digital media or to access and use computers, other electronic devices, and telecommunication networks. Digital rights include a right to freedom of expression, information and communication through technology, a right to privacy and data protection, a right to credit for personal works, a right to universal and equal digital access, a right to identity, a right to anonymity, a right to be forgotten, and a right for protection of minors, among others. The state's digital rights are frequently violated through various unfair actions, for example, blockage of websites and social networks, theft of credentials, unauthorized use of people's data for personal gain, privacy intrusion, online censorship, arrests and intimidation of online users, internet blockages, and the proliferation of laws and regulations that undermine the potential of technology to drive social, economic, and political development worldwide. It is hence every citizen's responsibility to respect rights of other digital users and to speak out or report to the responsible parties when one's rights are violated.
Welcome back from the break, and we're glad that you're still with us. So, Sarah, I'm coming to you, and I would like you to weigh in, of course, from the governance perspective, from where Dr. Ojiambo left off. So the beautiful game, like he says, brings us a lot of lessons. It unites people. We don't look at people along. It's blind to tribe, to religion, to color, to anything. But also we know that success in football does not just happen. There has to be teamwork. There has to be a well-structured, there has to be a well-defined structure, whether it's leadership, whether it's accountability, and so on. Just your thoughts on the governance situation, the governance of our football, but also the lessons that we learn from the success of the Crane so far, how to apply it in our political governance.
You see, football governance is underpinned by rules of the game that are known, and that's what makes it beautiful. You go in, you know what's expected of you, whether you are a player, whether you are a ref, whether you are a linesman, whether you are a fan in the pitch, you know what the do's and the don'ts. It's written in black and white. Nobody reaches half the way and changes the rules.
No.
If you are scoring, you know this is our goal post where we are scoring. This one is the opponent.
The one we are defending.
Where you are defending. So that's what makes it stand out and beautiful. Even when the ref or linesman makes a mistake, especially the ref, the protest is immediate and action must be taken. Even the mechanisms for seeking redress. There was a small tournament going on in Ankole, and our team in Bishenyu lost. So I followed the group. Lost, but was rigged out because when they were winning, the fans who were in the opponent's ground, the fans came running and took over the pitch, so the game was cancelled. The rules in FIFA and whatever is that if you cancel a game because of external factors like that, if you have played 90 minutes, 40 minutes, those 40 minutes are stored.
Yes.
If you have scored in those 40 minutes, your goals are stored. When you come back,
you pick from where you
do
stopped.
the balance.
Yes.
So they cancelled our win and the time we had won. So we protested, and of course won and reversed. So there are mechanisms for redress there. It's very clear. And if you lose, that's why we say politicians should adopt sportsman spirit. If you've lost, you've lost. But because you've lost in a fair and transparent process, there is no need now to change results like these NRM primaries and the switch lines or bring children in the lines. No. So that's what makes it beautiful. Now let me go to the hosting and talent development. First of all, as a country, we need to focus on talent development. All these sports people, including Bireete and others, they are on their own.
True.
And then when they win, we rush, bring them state house dinner. Where are you in the process? So we need a mechanism. Maybe a Ministry of Sports needs to stand alone. Talent identification, talent development, we need to be deliberate. It's only now that universities have started putting those admission on sports, adding points.
4 points.
Yeah. And I know some of the schools I'm involved in, we are having many people taken up on government scholarship on the sports merit. So we need to go further into encouraging talent to come up, because it's part of the new economy. It's like the creative industry. So if you have sports, people are paid. They are part of the highly paid. Forget politics and the person who is sending you message. International footballers. You play for 10 years and then your life is covered. Unless you fail
week
to manage your finances.
Yeah.
So that's what nations need to capitalize on, including Uganda. Now the governance of hosting a big match. And I want to compare it with the previous big events we've hosted. We've hosted, of course, some of the AU meetings. Even Idi Amin hosted the AU meeting where he constructed the conference center before he was overthrown, 1977. We've hosted Chogam. We've hosted the Nanaland movement. The pomp that should come with football. I was in Nairobi before the game started. There were big banners of Chan. Then you come to Uganda, and the only signpost was somewhere hidden on around Namboy. So for us citizens who are busy hustling on the streets, we were reminded by traffic jam. So you get near the bypass, then the traffic jam. Hey, China has started. There was no media publicity. There was nothing.
So what is it at the airport? I haven't been at the airport for a long time.
Seriously?
No,
I didn't see
nothing.
But
anything.
not again is surprising.
She's right, it's only in Nambole.
I saw them in Nairobi. There was nothing on our end. So if it wasn't for traffic jam, some of us wouldn't have known that China has started.
Sorry.
So, and there was a budget.
Are you sure someone in State House hasn't taken the money?
But there was a budget allocation for publicity and all of these things. So sports by nature goes with the fanfare. We should have even seen skaters on the road announcing Chan.
You need color.
Yeah.
You need color.
You know, nothing. So for me now as a host, if we are preparing for AFCON, we need to get real.
Get the
We created the pomp where it wasn't needed too much, Chogam. But football goes with the pomp.
Pomp is money.
Of
that's
course.
what
It was money. The money was there.
And
That's
for sure,
wasteful.
Sarah, you are
No.
just
Pomp is
making me see
wasteful.
that we have lost an opportunity.
Yes, that
You
is
advertise
marketing
the
a
It's a
country.
major advertising and marketing stuff.
That is a marketing a country.
Pomp is wasteful.
According to
How do you go for pomp when it's
Honorable
when it's an
Badolo.
election
if it's-
season,
when there are no
he's-
speed,
no,
when there are
he's
no
making a
drugs,
point.
If it's meaning-
No,
when there
when
are,
you invest in marketing a country, that's when you get income.
The return on
through
investment, yeah.
your return on investment, on tourism, on other things. Even as a host country, we are supposed to host more conferences and bring in foreign exchange in the country. Honorable, I don't know whether
better instead.
I don't know whether you were in Parliament when we paid for CNN adverts, 3 million.
That was, Madam, that was a deal.
No, I'm just saying.
It was a transactional deal.
I know, but I don't know whether you were in Parliament.
Yes, I was.
So
and I protested it.
I know. That's why I'm bringing it.
It was a transactional deal.
Thank you. Why I'm bringing it? We could waste so much money for CNN airtime. But if we manage the channel well, we would get free coverage on all this international media. The same applies for AFCON. So if we got Chan as a curtain raiser for AFCON, then we better rectify these mistakes. I want to add my voice on where Cranes, our teams are staying. It's really embarrassing. Cranes Paradise Hotel in a slum. When the rules of football are that the minimum should be 3-star, there are also facilities that should come with it, including a swimming pool. I'm told this hotel, even a bus that carries our players cannot enter. And when it's raining, it stops somewhere in the rain and these footballers are walking. Can you imagine? It's really embarrassing, and really Mr. Magogo and Mrs. Magogo, there are better ways of making money. Stop torturing our players in the name of making money.
Yes, Joseph, I'd like to also hear your thoughts about football governance and lessons that we should actually pick from the good things we've seen in football and apply it in our political
Unfortunately, I'm starting with the bad one. You know, I saw the pictures that Sarah refers. I genuinely thought it was a joke. And I honestly didn't pay much attention to it until sort of like now. If it is, it's actually criminal. Apart from anything and everything else, actually, when it comes to global football, footballers, because of the competitive nature, and although we talk about it as this thing that brings everybody together, football can also be very tribal in the small c, meaning group versus group. So players, particularly national players, national security issues. So players must be given 100% protection. Players must be, in terms of security, because they can be compromised.
True.
Now, players are also very expensive equipment. No wonder these guys in State House eat the money, but they don't invest into them. So they don't know that these guys, the amount of investment put in terms in their health and everything else, means that their food must be very decent, because they don't you can't afford your player to fall sick and to have a stomach tummy and maybe like walking down the road and slip down. The implication is huge, because that's the cost of one game. It's a commonsensical thing. But look, I played for our school team in P6. I told Dr. Ojiambo this a long time ago, and he laughed at me instead of sympathizing with me. I was in my school's team, St. Joseph's, Nagonga in P6. Yes. And I scored the only goal against 6 against us from Nagonga Seminary. The point is, one, that's how good I am. But two, it's about the infrastructure conversation being had. Nagonga boys had 2 playing fields. One for the first 11, primary school in Nagonga, and the other for the next team. And other small pitches for pupils. These are primary schools. Today, part of the big national question is about school facilities. This bunch have already sold of Shimoni, but playing fields. So meaning the infrastructure thing that Judith is talking about, where are these guys starting? So for me, I started in P6, and I don't think I did as well. Obviously, I went to Miri, but I don't think I did as well. But the idea is that you need to start early. Number 2, my young nephew, who's from a blood of an Olympian of 1970 for Ugandan Team Odongo, is of a Norwegian roots, and now has just gone fantastically to the US, talk resources. He's gone to a top university in US. Part of the pointing is sports, and part of it is a scholarship. Fantastic young man. He's going to be a top global citizen soon. That is investment in that. But number 3, Minister of Sport and the future UPC government would come back to Minister of Culture and Community Development. Ironically, see, that's where it used to be. So as you're saying, Judith, the holistic building of society, that's where it was. Education, because schools, I generally don't know. But you could see this is the broader thinking. So apart from schools in Nagonga, there should be communities in the outskirts of Bushenyi who are actively playing football, but who are being invested on, and who part of the national Bushenyi team find themselves coming to Nambole and become part of the national team. Generally, football, and I don't know who advised Mr. Museveni, but all the advisors, possibly, part of them are thieves. Because we are hosting this, football normally brings the nation together, as my colleagues say. There is nothing much more exciting than when your national team is winning. And so, in the event that our national team wins, normally politicians across the country, across the world, including political parties, especially in countries where there are no fixed terms, normally when their national teams are playing and they've won, they actually call elections because they know that the country is together. It's a unifying factor. It's a unifying force. How you handle that is important. But however, Henry, I think, Henry was talking about pomp. I could see your arguments. I get his point about pomp. The issue is not about pomp, but rather how you present this. Is it a marketing thing? Yes. So
present to the country. I'm not
those things which are planted between Entebbe and then you find it in my Nigeria road through potholes, but then you see there's AFCON going, things like that, Chan going, whatever. Those are basically the things. But pomp in terms of wasting billions and things like that, of course, I understand, but I hope that's what we mean. But generally, the country needs to be able to feel we are into this mood. There is an element of vibe. There is a presence. Here we are. And Ochieno can go ahead and walk somewhere in Nakasongala. And guys, we are talking about games and who the other footballer. The other one was Messiga. And by the way, he's the champion. And we have this national conversation. By the way, generally, should be able to bring us together.
Yeah, but one element, on pomp. By the way, it doesn't necessarily require a lot of money. So we have many football teams. You can bring the junior players. And they welcome the visiting teams. At the airport,
so even that one was not
with
there.
The drums.
Yeah.
You bring the cranes, and they are there welcoming other teams, and there's coverage, and a few banners up there.
Even a band, a police band, or a band of young people marching on the streets.
And the primary school kids from Semuto getting the opportunity of receiving the other top player from Zambia who is known.
You know why that is not happening now?
No.
It's because there's despondence in the citizens. They have given up on everything. So anyway, now that I'm coming now, I want to look at.
You have my 1 minute, sir.
Oh, thank you very much.
Extra.
I want to look at this issue from the point of from the big lens of institutional governance in this country. The institutional governance in this country have collapsed. And I will say this without fear or favor. And because the institutional governance has collapsed, this sports sector is a component of the institutions in this country. So you don't expect what is happening in sports to be perfect when actually the institutional governance in the country have collapsed. Tell me one institution that's performing to its best. Doctor, can you tell me one?
The born again church.
No. That is the
worst.
In
the government, nothing.
even outside, that is the worst. Where these guys are scammers. You are telling me an institution where you have scammers. Who doesn't know that there's scammers in that sector? And 95% of the so-called pastors are scammers. And they know it, we know it, and we are participating in it. So this sports sector that we are talking about also, we can't expect a miracle in this sector. It is a reflection of what is happening in this country. So what we need to do is that we need to reincarnate and repent and govern these institutions properly. When you allow institutions to perform on their own, then they will perfect. There will be some perfection. So, but if you're having these institutions performing into the sea of the corrupt, how do you expect this kind of corruption that you are crying now that you know?
We throw our players in the slum.
Yeah, because that is the kind of environment that the country is operating in. Yeah, the operation mechanisms of the government institutions is in the sea of corruption, into a corruption sea. So how do you expect this one to be different? So that means that there are serious issues to address. That's why, for example, even when you're talking about this kind of slums, why should even Kisasi be a slum? Should, because infrastructure has collapsed.
Yeah.
We don't have roads networking the capital city, which are functional. Why? Because of this corruption business. Because Kisasi, how many kilometers from the city? 10 kilometers. And you are telling me the road to Kisasi is not okay? The road to, even if when you're in Nambole, just move 1 kilometer away. You don't even need the 1 kilometer
Yeah,
away.
back here actually.
You just have a half kilometer, go to Kirinya.
Yes.
True.
Everything has collapsed. Road sector has collapsed. You know, everything. Now, when we are talking about Nambole, would by the time proper planning, would have nice roads, would have a metro shuttle, the railway working from city, going to, we don't all need to move with our vehicles, go use the metro shuttles. So, I'm very surprised that you are discussing, you think that a miracle is going to happen in sports. Where will it come from? And even what we are talking about, what we are discussing earlier, that is happening with this youth picking these nomination forms, it is a reflection of corruption of institutions. A protest vote, a protest, they are protesting. So for me, that is my take. Yes, if it was well governed, definitely this would promote the country. You bring in the issue of tourism, you bring the issue of talent identification,
employment.
You bring the issue of this employment, of course, the economy, because it is an integrated economy. You are talking about these hotels, you are talking about so many things. So, because of the corrupts of the systems, even what we are going to get in, it is not consummate. It is not what we should be getting, you know? So those who enjoy sport and you like to see people who playing, enjoy. But
there's a lot of
cry my beloved country.
But just quickly that...
and we have 15 minutes.
Yeah, sure,
go,
sure.
So
that as it happened, because we're talking infrastructure, Sarah, that as early as the time before these guys came from the bushes, the idea was that Bugembe would be the second big national stadium, Bugembe in Jinja, to Nambole, which was already a proposal anyway, so it didn't come with this, but these guys completed it. And then there was a conversation in Bali, where there was a dispute which was nearly going political, that Masete Kwe, then Minister for Rehabilitation, had an idea about where the stadium should be. So every regional town, there was a conversation about regional stadium. Today, we are having conversation that, well, Uganda cannot host a tournament alone. Early this year, I attended a function in southern Kenya, where Mr. Museveni and Mr. Ruto were amongst the guests. And it was basically placed in Siaya. That's merely in Siaya. And the studio was a complete decent studio, which is only second to possibly Nambole for the size. This is in Siaya. But finally, point about crowd control. You know, Ms. Museveni is very excited that I'm giving credit. Turns out that I was at an event in Kenya. Uganda actually does very well with crowd control. You guys, I'm not meaning that people should be beaten. But if you travel around some of the spaces, Uganda sort of seems to manage many of these things, although like Sarah said, that some of the underlying issues in Kenya might be about the corruption rather than managing crowds. So there's so much actually we can do as a nation and do generally very well. You know, managing, not beating up people, but I'm simply saying that, well, Ugandans possibly simply say that, look, take that role there, organize that event there, and pass take route. I was in Tanzania at Julius Nyerere's home, and what we saw, and I'm saying this for the first time on air, what we saw on air on the platform at the man's home with the stewards there and some of our local stewards here. Now, I think there's so many things we do better. And if we organize and we had leadership, we had infrastructure, we can do better. You know, we would do very well. And sports is one of them.
We have to be intentional.
I think so,
yes. Thank you. So we're now on the last lap of our discussion. So, of course, I'll need your final word on the key takeaways from today's discussion. On one hand, we have the cranes on a campaign to win CHAN 2025. Hopefully, we pray for the best for them. On the one hand, we have, of course, the Cranes, a small team, well-organized, clear mission, clear vision. Then on the other hand, 100 plus Ugandans, still with a themed message of discontent with the status quo or with the establishment. And the numbers are still growing. A big number, we don't know what their vision for the country is exactly, but beyond the discontent that we see, we don't know what their broader visions for this country would be. So your key takeaways from today's conversation, starting with you, Robert.
I will concentrate on CHAN. I want to assure you that we started on a wrong note, but the team who were playing was just far ahead of us. This team from Algeria, they have one of the best infrastructure, They have programs for the youth. So many of us who understand the beautiful game, we left that pitch, of course, not happy, but we understood the problem. I know many Ugandans were not happy, and it's because Ugandans normally want to expect miracles, and they go there and they want things to happen in Jesus' name and so on. Football does not operate like that. Even if you shout Jesus loudest, you must be a very well prepared team to win. And that's why there are few countries in the world that have the World Cup, and Africa has never won any. And many people have been saying, oh, the Africans are sometimes they are biased against us. No, it is the preparedness. But the team picked up, beat Guinea 3, beat Niger 2, and we are on the course now. It has given us hope. We feel for those boys. Every match those boys win is giving them an opportunity because they're on the they're on the billboard. I want to see one time one of our boys playing in the big leagues in the world so that they can change places. You don't know what Onyango is doing to his village, and he's just playing in the league in South Africa here. Supposing we got a boy in England, we got a boy in Spain, we got a boy in France, it would do a big thing for this country. You think we have produced the great men like Museveni? Let's just produce one player in Manchester United. He will far better be in terms of impact more than Museveni. So for me, I think on Friday, tomorrow, Algeria is playing Niger. Algeria is playing Guinea, and South Africa is playing Niger. Our prayer is that there is a stalemate between those teams, so that South Africa does not win and Algeria does not win, so that we see what happens in the match on Monday. If South Africa wins tomorrow and Algeria wins, then our chances will be very low, because there we have to go on a win. But I want to encourage our boys. They have now become strong. We are behind them. Tomorrow and Monday, some of us will be there, removing these professional faces on us and chanting Okelo, chanting Ahimbisiwe, chanting Torach, chanting all these players. We know them. We really hope that forget about the media, hide your heads, just focus on the game, focus on the goal. These politicians may want to derail you. Please, this is your billboard. Show your talent, and we're here to support you.
Thank you, Sarah. Your key takeaway.
You know, as Dr. Jambo was submitting, I remembered that even us, Banyenzaki, finally we have something to offer.
Yeah, there is Mukundane and Himbisiwe there. By the way, Sarah, let me just
repeat that.
This is the most balanced team we have ever produced.
For a long time, there's never been a footballer.
This is the most balanced
we
team.
have
That's a
not
fact.
been shining on the sports at the national level. True. Maybe once in a while we would win the pool tournament. And now we have come up in the main sports. And people have been happy.
That's the beauty of the game.
They are also there. It's not just politics and business where they dominate. So.
And your language?
I don't know. The language is our identity. Accent is our identity. We have nothing to do about it. So
they have been concentrating on other important aspects of life.
But now this is.
They have not matured. to participate in these others.
To the honorable.
Oh my God.
That's
But to the Ukrainians, really, I think let's focus on our boys. We know the management is bad, and we hope that things can change going into AFCON. Because as much as, and I appreciate the submissions of fellow panelists that really systems have collapsed, especially coming from the president to remind us that systems are dead. But we should do something for the talent people because they have developed themselves. It's a self-initiative. We shouldn't allow the politicians to mess up the talents that have developed and they groomed themselves at their own expense. So we need to give them the best that they deserve, but also to encourage the more people that are training in football and other talent development aspects of this country. So there should be an audit of CHAN 2025.
24.
24, yeah. There should be a clear audit to make sure that the people who are messing up the front line are put away ahead of AFCON 2027. That's
Thank
my
you.
contribution.
Yes.
The people who messed up Chogam were not sorted. How can you expect this to be sorted? But we should keep praying.
And he said they'll be suspended.
You see, this will be progress. But look, just good luck to these guys. And as all my colleagues have said, you know, the country is solidly behind you. Naturally, when it comes to sports, it is one of the most unifying. In fact, tends to be the most unifying game in town, sports, and in this case, particularly football. And so all we can say is success to the bias, but a future UPC government would make sure that we restore infrastructure, sporting infrastructure across the country, from stadia to everything else, and making sure that your football pitches are not sold to dubious business people. As far as the politics is concerned, good luck, whatever happens. The message has been very clear, but we really just hope that whatever happens between today, whoever returns and picks more nomination forms, we hope that they go through a fair process and that come election time, the best person wins, just like it's in football. But unfortunately, on the basis of the way it is at the moment, it is dwarfed. We may just have to return back to Jesus.
And lastly, Honorable.
Well, my take is that listening to what my other presenters have been talking and what I've been following up have been going on, is that these guys who are praying now, who are self-made and they are making it, it is a demonstration that Ugandans could do much more better if they are better organized. If there is better organization of this institution, if there is better organization or even of the brains, because what we are seeing now, we are seeing people are coming from nowhere, self-made, and they're making it to the national level and even beyond. And this one tells you that there are many more millions of Ugandans who have not been able to come up because they are being, it's like that story of the Bible, lighting the candle and you cover it with a basket. So many candles in Uganda are lit but covered with a basket. In Rwanda, in Ojiambo. So, and this is a serious call that as a nation, we should come together, put things right. And when we are saying putting things right, it is not one individual, it is not one party, it is a nation as such. A nation. We need to come together as a nation so that we bring all the talents, we bring the blessings that they have been bestowed on Uganda, to bring all these talents, all these gifts, because you know, much more is hidden, much more treasures are hidden in the village. Those who know don't want even to say. When, for example, they came and said that our gold deposits are in 5 trillion, did they say $5 trillion? But nobody's talking about. When we are talking about what is, when you see this fight in northern Uganda about land, it's not about land. It's about the oil in northern Uganda. What is happening in northern Uganda is what happened in Bireete when Mukhchitari was asking, who are these guys grazing cows with guns? Because they had discovered oil there. The treasure was being hidden. The treasure is being hidden in northern Uganda. Treasure is being hidden in Kigezi. You know, so what is happening now is that the treasure that we have in Uganda, the young talents in football are now coming up. But we have much, much more treasures in this country. So we need to organize ourselves better. This country needs to be organized in a better way, and everything will come, will add up. And then we shall have a glorious Uganda, a prosperous Uganda, a transformed Uganda, because every sector is doing better.
The pearl of Africa.
The pearl of Africa will be for real.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Honorable Henry Banyenzaki, Mr. Joseph Ochieno, Dr. Sarah Bireete, Dr. Robert Ojiambo. My name is Judith, a team. From all of us here, just like the rest of Ugandans, we say, go, Cranes, go. We're rooting for you, and we're hoping for the best. But while at it, I think let's also remember what it takes and reflect on what it takes to build a winning nation. Thank you for watching, and remember to join us next week. Bye.